We welcome you to the ADHD Smarter Parenting Podcast. Here to heal and elevate lives is your parenting coach, Kimber Peterson.
Yesterday in Uvalde, Texas, there was a tragic shooting at Robb Elementary involving the lives of many families and community members, but directly taking the lives of 19 children and 2 adults. Today's episode is dedicated to those that are impacted by this event, and our hearts go out to you as you learn how to survive the trauma that you've experienced and cope with the changes in your life. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what Smarter Parenting stands for and why we exist. Smarter Parenting is a division of Utah Youth Village, which is a larger nonprofit agency based in Salt Lake City, Utah. We work with children and families in challenging circumstances, trying to navigate the behaviors and mental health struggles of their children and learn how to strengthen their relationships with one another in a way that they can move forward and productively and happily maintain their family balance. As we do this to support children and families, our mission is always to use proven methods that have lasting results. At Smarter Parenting, our focus is on making some of this research and some of this professional skill and technique available to parents and families across the world, because there's no reason that parents should be struggling to balance and support their families and their children without the tools that professionals are using every single day. So at Smarter Parenting, we've broken down some of the top resources that you can start applying in your home and in your family in order to have a successful relationship with your children that brings in your family values and instills your hopes for them and strengthens your relationship with them in a way that will be lasting beyond just the tantrum that you're dealing with in the moment and into the rest of their lives and including their adulthood. I had somebody point out the other day that majority of your relationship with your children is with them as an adult. And so as you work to strengthen your relationship and develop this relationship with them as a human being and not just as a child, it's important to have that long-term perspective in mind. And I thought that was really interesting to take a step back and to think about how our children, their experience with us as their parent and as their authority figure is actually just a brief part of their lives. It's a very formative part of their life. And so it is a very important part of their life. But long term and looking at the big picture, much of our relationship with our children is going to be with them as adults. And so as we take that perspective, we want to consider some of the values that we hope that they'll have, some of the characteristics that they'll carry with them outside of our homes and into adulthood and into the community. One of the challenging reverberations of a traumatic event like yesterday's is parents across the country feeling uncertain and afraid of what tomorrow looks like and how to ensure the safety of their children. We're all facing that. And it can be unsettling to not have your footing or to feel like you can provide safety for your kids, one of the most basic things that we hope our children can have. At Smarter Parenting, our goal is to help you gain some bearings of where you stand and what you have control over. Because although we don't have control over many things going on in our world today, we do have a lot of say in what happens in our homes and in our families. And so our goal is to make some of these resources really applicable to you and your family and in your home, something that you can watch, learn, and start today. So take a few minutes and go to www.smarterparenting.com. And on our website, you're going to find a variety of free resources that are available and asking for you to learn and to listen and to try out these basic skills. Now, sometimes these skills that we teach seem so simple to families that they overlook their importance and their value, that they say, well, that's great, but what I'm dealing with is much bigger. The reality is the evidence has shown that these practices, these little changes in your home can make a really lasting difference. And so go and watch one of those videos, something that applies to you, whether that's you wanting to learn how to really effectively praise your children, or if it's you wanting to get a better grasp of what consequences are actually effective and why and when to use consequences. Watch one of the lessons that you're curious about, and then consider your adult relationship with your child and what that will look like, and the values that you want them to carry with them in their day-to-day. I want you to consider how learning and practicing this skill on a daily basis is going to change that trajectory for your child and push them towards that person that you hope that they'll become. Now, the other interesting thing about smarter parenting is it has a lot less to do with our child's behavior than you would think. Parenting is interesting because it's not necessarily a role as much as it's a relationship. Parenting is about our interaction and our relationship with our child. And so at Smarter Parenting, we try to teach you skills that are within your power and control. It's not about force, and it's not about the magical wand difference that's going to change your child's behavior today. What it's actually about is what you as the parent are going to change in your relationship, what you have control over in your day-to-day, and how your interactions will in turn change your child's behavior. Now, I personally have done this countless times and worked with families all over the place that have applied this and quickly learned when I, as the parent, change the way that I'm interacting with my child, they change too. And we're both better for it. And that is where change really lies. And when we can start to change ourselves and the way that we engage with our children, their behaviors are going to follow suit. So, for example, when I praise my child and genuinely hear and see what they're doing and give them a rationale of why that's important, instead of just saying, thanks for taking out the trash because I told you that you needed to take out the trash, instead, I'm really helping them understand and see the way that that contributes to our family and our home. Doing this one time isn't going to make all the difference, but doing it every single day over and over again throughout the course of their childhood makes a huge difference. I was recently talking to a foster parent, Sarah, and she was telling me about her adult foster child. He was with her about 10 years ago, and for the purpose of this episode, we're going to call him Harold. Harold was with her as a teenager, and then 10 years passed by or so, and he reached out to her and wanted to introduce her to his family. So they got together and they went to lunch. And Harold, being in his mid-20s now, has a toddler child that they brought to the restaurant. And Sarah quickly saw the ways that she had interacted with Harold and the language that she used and the praise that she used and the relationship that she held with him. She saw that mirrored in Harold and his child as well. Now that is looking at that big picture and seeing the way that your actions and your relationship with your child have lifelong repercussions and the influence of many, many relationships to come, including children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so forth. Our wonderful founder said, helping one child helps generations to come. And that line really stands true, especially in stories like this with Sarah and Harold. So in today's episode, we're hoping that you'll take the time that you would have otherwise listened to what we have to say and the examples and stories shared in the podcast, and instead go over to our website and find a lesson that really applies to you. Find something that you can try out and start today. We offer a free video that breaks down the lesson in a dynamic way and then resources that accompany it. Find the lesson that applies to you and watch it, and then try it. That's a quick, simple thing that you can take 10 minutes to do today. Now, reflecting back on some of the current events that are going on around the world, and specifically in Uvalde, Texas today, I want to encourage you to go back to episode 177, where Siope and I talk about ways to talk to your children about current events and difficult conversations. We give a few suggestions that apply to many current events that are going on and may be helpful for you as you navigate the next steps in helping your children understand what's going on in our world today. If you or someone you know, especially your child, is experiencing mental health concerns, we encourage you to reach out to local mental health professionals. This is an incredibly powerful resource and tool that's available in most communities around the world. Now, what I'd encourage you to do is to go and look up a mental health hotline. Take that phone number and the website and add it to your phone. Program it in so that it's available to you in those moments where you don't necessarily expect it. In those moments where you're not in a place of seeking out extra resources, keep it available to you right there on your phone. If you have a teenager or a child that also has a cell phone, we highly encourage that you do the same to their phone. Go in and program the supports and services that they can reach out to in the event that they are experiencing a mental health crisis. We wish you the best and safety in the coming days and hope that these resources and tools that are made free and available to you by Smarter Parenting and Utah Youth Village are helpful and something that you can start applying today in order to feel like you can make a difference in this world. Again, if you're experiencing some of the trauma and loss going on today, whether that's in Uvalde or somewhere else around the world, our hearts go out to you and we wish you the best as you navigate the trials and encourage you to reach out to mental health professionals to support you along the way. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.